Hello everyone and welcome to round 8 of the URL-GT1 Championship from Road Atlanta. After a small summer break we are back and competition was closer than ever. In qualifying, the top 3 spots had less than half a tenth in between them. Robert Horvat took his first pole in URL, just 0.006 of a second in front of Tony Ukic, and championship contender Mikko Korkiakowski put himself right behind Tony. In the AM Cup, it was Andrei Golubnici taking the pole, followed by Sando Donadel and Matthias Christensen. So let's have a look at the highlights of the race. So here's a starting grid. Robert Horvat is on the right in the Lamborghini, and he gets away cleanly. Michal Klisch goes onto the grass, trying to find a way past Alex Scott. All clean for now. And Florian Kutz goes off the track there. He will lose some positions. And now through the S's, everyone keeps it clean for now. Andrei Golubnici made it up to P8, so he's first in the AM Cup. We're cycling through the field. Ethan Bass is a new driver for this race, so let's see where he ends up. Peter Bacchus, part of BNT, started from the back. Let's see how far up he can get. Felix Boucher and Farhat Hamad Tajuddin fell to the back after an incident in turn 1. So here, going onto the main straight, or the long back straight rather, and Michal Klisch is quite close to Alex Scott, but no moves as of yet. Florian Kutz could resume racing in P8, so quite a clean first lap. Some taps in the back as well. Ethan Bass going for the inside a little bit, and Peter Bacchus as well, already picking up some spots. So at the end of lap 1, these are the standings. And here a pass from Andrei Golubnici around the outside into turn 1, past Miguel Santiago Carao. Goes onto the grass now, and he will lose another position to Florian Kutz as well. So very, very close racing. Sando Donadel currently in P2 with Ethan Bass right behind him. Peter Bacchus now up to P14 already, and Felix Boucher was the driver to pick up the most places in the opening laps, as we will see right now. In lap 2, he took 2 positions in one corner. Good braking here for the chicane, going up the inside of Chris Simpton, and then also passing Matthias Christensen. And that's pass done. Then 1 lap later he would get past Florin Manolace by getting on the power earlier, and then putting his nose up the inside into the last very, very tricky turn, but they both kept it clean. In lap 5, it was the battle for the lead that took our attention. Tony Ukic went for the outside line and managed to get some overspeed on Robert Horvat and make the pass for P1. So the gap to Mikko is, well, not big, but big enough to not be a threat. Then Sando Donadel was being harassed by Peter Bacchus. He's up to P11 now. Starting from the back after a penalty, and Sando had to defend very, very hard and try very hard to keep him at bay. Let's see if he can do that. Quick through the S's, but here he brakes a bit too late, locks up the rears, and Peter Bacchus goes through for P10. And Felix Boucher again here in a 3-way battle with Ethan Bass, Andrei Golubnici, and Sando Donadel, who got in front of Andrei Golubnici. So getting past Ethan Bass, flashing him through. Let's see if he can take these other 2 positions as well to take the lead in the AM Cup. A very, very close battle here between these AM drivers. Pagani versus the Nissan versus the Saleen. not close enough, but still putting his nose on the inside and now hoping for a mistake from Andre. He goes onto the grass a bit, so that is a mistake. And he goes up the inside on Sando, who was being put a bit wide by Andre, so good strategic driving, which put Felix Boucher in P11. Tony Ukic now was in the lead of the race. Behind him it was a pack with Robert Horvat, Mikko Korkiakowski, Alex Scott, Michal Klisch, Yevgeny Leonov, and behind him Florian Kutz. That's the top 7, and Yevgeny Leonov was looking mighty quick here around Road Atlanta onto the straight. Then Nissan could stretch his legs and get up the inside to take P5. So good performance so far from Yevgeny Leonov, sorry. Michal Klisch, the lap after, tried to get his position back. He was up the inside, but and Yevgeny managed to brake later and keep his car on that good line to have the inside line for the last turn here. So no way past for the moment. Yevgeny then went on to challenge Alex Scott for P4, and with the overspeed of the Nissan and good braking, he got up the inside. Alex Scott had to concede the position, so let's see how far up Yevgeny can get in this race. Felix Boucher made it into P10, so past Sando Donadel. He even got close to Miguel Santiago Carao, making a mistake here. So up to P9 for Felix Boucher. Quite a dominant performance for him in the AM Cup. Andrei Golubnici and Ethan Bass were in 11th and 12th at that point. Sando Donadel fell back to P13, and Florin Manolace and Chris Simpson, followed by Matthias Christensen, made up the last AM runners. Farana Matajudin, he retired from the race. Here's Robert in P2, trying to get past Florin, but forcing the issue a little bit, causing Florin to go off track and causing Robert to lose the position to Mikko, and also it seems to Yevgeny. So Yevgeny up to P3 now. Florian Kutz was then right behind the battle between Alex Scott and Yevgeny Leonov. Alex Scott got passed again a couple of laps later, so that's P3 for the McLaren driver, but Yevgeny was still pushing in. A big slide from Alex Scott meant that he could go around the outside, on the outside, and well, we saw that the Nissan has some good brakes here around this circuit, so Yevgeny Leonov claims back his 3rd position. Can he get his first podium at URL? Let's see. Then just before the pit stops, here's Tony Ukic getting past Sando Donadel in P1 with quite a gap to Mikko Korkiakowski. These are the two top runners for the Drivers' Championship. As we saw, Yevgeny Leonov, Alex Scott, Florian Kutz is the top 5. Then Robert Horvat, he fell back to P6 after his incident with Florin. Then it's Michal Klisch, Felix Boucher lapping Florin Manolace. Then it's Miguel Santiago Carao, Andrei Golubnici in 2nd in the AM Cup. Ethan Bass kept it in 11th for the moment. Sando Donadel then in 12th, 3rd in the AM Cup. Peter Backus, he had already pitted in P13, so we'll see where he gets by the end of the race. I can tell you that Peter Backus was putting in fastest lap after fastest lap, so he is very, very quick here, but he suffered from his penalty by starting from the back. Robert Horvat got out of the pits and just barely got past Michal Klisch for P5, so he gained position in the pits. And then the story of today was Mikko Korkiakowski pitting late and not changing his tires. Tire wear was quite high here at Road Atlanta, so Tony Ukic could close down the gap fairly quickly, and here he is on Mikko's tail. We have to take into account that these two drivers have quite some weight on their cars, and Miko even more than Tony, so let's see if it will cost him here on the straight. They are right behind Felix Boucher, and Miko is flashing his lights to let them through and be able to defend his position better, but Tony has to work for it. The overweight Koenigsegg is quite quick, but a slide from Miko, and also not the best apex from Tony Ukic, but Tony Ukic gets past for P1. So let's see how long Miko can hold on to that second position as the rest of the pack is closing in quite fast. Florian Kutz in P2 now. He got past Miko already a couple of laps later. The gap to Tony is not too small. And Robert Horvat goes for the inside here. This will be very, very tight. Miko gives him just enough room on the inside, but Robert Horvat places his car nicely and gets past. So Michal Klisch and Alex Scott are still following. And here is the battle also in the AM Cup raging almost the whole race. Chris Simpson versus Florin Manolace. Chris Simpson gets past on this occasion. A couple of laps later, Florin got close again. Chris made a mistake going onto the gravel, and that was Florin going back through, so even just outside the podium positions. Very, very tight battles here, both in the Pro and in the AM Cup. For the final lap, this would be the site. So these three drivers, Matthias Christensen, Florin Manolace and Chris Simpson, less than 5 seconds apart from each other, but they will finish like this. So Tony Ukic got past Robert Horvat in the opening stages and never let go of his lead. He had to work for it to get past Mikko Korkiakowski on worn tires, but he will take the win at Road Atlanta, and that will make his lead in the Drivers' Championship a little bit bigger. Florian Kutz would then take P2, as we saw. Robert Horvat will finish in P3 after starting from pole. Then it was Michal Klisch and Alex Scott. They both got past Mikko Korkiakowski as well on that long back straight. Here he is in P6, so losing some weight for the next race. Let's see how he can do. Yevgeny Leonov fell back a bit in the pit stops and the second stint for P7. Then Peter Backus made it up to P8 from the last position. P9 for Miguel Santiago Carao. Felix Boucher taking the win in the AM Cup. Then Andrei Golubnici and Sando Donadel to make up the podium. Florin Manolace, Chris Simpson and Matthias Christensen, as we saw them finishing quite close to each other. Ethan Bass unfortunately didn't make it to the end of the race. So here are the final results. The gap of Tony to Florian was 11 seconds, almost 12 seconds. But as we can see, Tony Ukic took the fastest lap with just under 1:16. So dominant performance from him. Also looking at Peter Backus, he also did a 1:15.9, just slightly slower than his teammate Tony. So Peter was very, very quick here, but P8 was the best he could do at this race. Florian Kutz, as I said, in P2, Robert Horvat in P3, and in the AM Cup, Felix Boucher, Andrei Golubnici and Sando Donadel. So next week we are staying in the US and we are going to Mid-Ohio, another difficult technical circuit, and we're set for 54 laps or 70 minutes. So stay tuned for the highlights of that race, and let's see who can take the championships. See you next week, and join us at unitedracersleague.com.